When he blew himself up, when he exploded, all his body parts rained on the roof. So when I woke up, I had his like intestines, all of his like arm was over there. His insides were still sizzling and all that.
Welcome to the Daru Strong Podcast.
Now, Giovannie Cano?
Yes.
Not Cano.
AKA Cano.
All right, so Purple Heart, ex-Marine, Iraqi war veteran. Let's go over the origin story because you have a crazy story. I want to make sure that everybody understands, where you come from and the things that you had to battle back from and what you're doing now. So let's start it off, man. Why did you decide, one, to become a Marine, right? Go do all that stuff, be the best that you could be, and also decide to write these crazy comic books?
Yeah. Thank you. Just want to start off. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
It's a pleasure, and I love the work that you're doing, man. And so great time being on here.
We met. We did the seminar here.
Yeah.
Back at the old spot.
Yeah.
What, a year ago now? About a year and a half ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And he came up to me, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut you off real quick because you came up to me and told me this story.
Yeah.
And I was blown away. And this is why I knew I had to have you on the podcast when we were up and running. So let's go back though. Start off like why all this occurred and sort of about your background and where you started.
So I was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. I grew up in the Belmont and Cragen neighborhood. It's also known as Belden City in the Chicago talk and stuff. And pretty rough area. Grew up around some rough dudes and rough environments. But it all served for a great purpose when I went to the military, especially the experience, when it came to combat and stuff.
Yeah.
But I grew up there. I went to Steinmetz High School in Chicago. And unfortunately, reaching my sophomore year, one of my good friends that I looked as an early mentor, big brother, all of that, got killed on the side of the school.
Gotcha.
And that is what, one, changed my life forever and really altered the direction, where I was going and stuff like that.
Could I imagine? How old were you then?
I was a sophomore in high school, so maybe,
Teenage years?
Yeah.
14, 15?
15.
Yeah.
And for me, it was like really, really traumatic, because 1 minute he was there and I was looking for, guidance and, rest in peace to him. His name was Steven Petrovic. And he had a big impact in my life, early on, because I knew I wasn't a college, I knew I wasn't going to go to college. I wasn't really liking school,
Sure.
But I was just looking like, what do I do? Where do I go? And he was one of the first, or the first person to say, you know what, Iraq is going on, why don't you go serve your country, man? Go do something big, man. Like, they'll take care of you, trust me. And he was playing ball, he was playing football. So, eyeballs were on him. He had as long as, he kept doing what he was doing, he had a good ride to go play, at least college ball and stuff. So, and he's like, if it was me, if I wasn't doing, playing ball, I would do it, man. That's, what a great honor. And at that time, this is like 2003, Iraq already kicked off, it's all over the news. Fallujah was starting to kick up, and my unit, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, was all over the news. He had that, that big brother role early on in life, and then I'm getting there, and I'm like, all right, and pow, he gets in the fight with some of the wrong guys, in the school, and then, about 2 days later, they pulled him aside from the side of the school while he was walking his dog, and attempted just to kill him in the van, but he punched out, the 15-year-old kid who was the gunman.
Yeah.
That actually was like trying to do it. He knocked all his front teeth out. The kid's uncle was the driver, and
Wow.
he was there, so he had to pull over. This is all on camera on the side of the school, just after hours. So the uncle pulls over. He's fighting for his life. He's fighting these two guys, and that is the warrior, the gladiator that we knew, of him.
Yeah.
Because he, played ball. He was a beast. He just had that impact, and so he went out the way he always, you know, talked about how he would go out, you know, fighting.
For sure.
But all that, when that happened, it was just taken away too fast. You know, like that was like my big brother. You
How
know,
old was he again? 17?
He was a senior.
So 18, 17, 18.
Yeah.
So that's crazy.
That happens, you know, and then about a week later, after, you know, the burial, we say goodbye to him. The gang that got, you know, into it with it, they cornered me on the stairs, and they're like, hey, you know, where's your buddy at now? You know, he's not so tough now.
Of course.
You know, and I get angry to where the point where like tears are coming out of my eyes, wanting to, you know, do something. And they were like, go ahead and, you know, go ahead and punch. You'll be in a box before the bell rings. And right away I was like, well, either, you know, I get bullied and I stick around here and wait to see what happens, or, you know, I transfer schools, I go to another school. And at that time, the surrounding high schools that were around there were telling me that it was like a 2-year wait to get into the school. A lot of it was like, if you're not living in the district, you can't come in here. So
a 2-year wait, you're a sophomore, you'd be done by then.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
And a 2-year, a 2-year wait.
School systems are amazing.
So the doors started closing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if I want to continue to go to the school.
Yeah.
Because I know it, you know, like it's something bad's gonna happen, you know. So I decided to drop out of high school, and then at that time, getting a GED was like, I think the GED was like $300 something, go to a community college. But to me, 15, 16 years old, that was like $1 billion. You know, where am I going to come up with that money? And my mom wasn't too happy. My parents were too happy with the decision. So
you're Guatemalan descent, right?
Yeah. And if, you know, if I'm grown enough to make those decisions, I'm grown enough to come up with the money, or at least get the GED. So
is that big in that culture, like as far as like getting an education? Obviously, are they from America, or did they go from Guatemala?
So my real dad passed away when I was 3 years old, and I got raised by my stepdad.
Gotcha.
He's Mexican, you know, and my mom's Guatemalan, but you know, that generation, there was just all about work, you know, putting food on the table and stuff. Sure. And they did everything they possibly could, you know, to help me out. But when you're living in that area, in the hood, you know, it's just the way it is. You know?
No, for sure.
Feast or famine, you know, kill or be killed. It's just, it is the way it is. So I didn't want to put that pressure on them to where help me. Of course. Like, you know, they got to go to work. They got to put, you know, food on the table.
At any time, did you picture yourself getting caught in that world of like dealing drugs and doing bad shit?
No, not at all.
Okay.
You know, I just happened to be friends with, you know, a good dude that got in a fight with the wrong person.
Gotcha.
You know, and
so you weren't looking for trouble. It just found you.
You know, and it's, you know, it hurt me a lot to where I couldn't continue to go to school. There's no way, you know, and to see those guys, you know, and it's just too much, you know. So
gotcha.
Here we are, you know. I'm out of school, and I knew that sitting around for 2 years or saying that, all right, I'm gonna go back to school, I'm gonna get it done. A lot could happen within that gap.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
And not all bad things, you know. Maybe I get a little job or something, and that's the most money I've ever touched. So I think the whole world is going to be surrounded by this little job that I got, and think that I'm forever going to be 18, 17 years old.
Gotcha.
And survive off that kind of money. You know, I see it happen all the time in the environment. You know, they get a little job, people get comfortable, and they just stay there, you know, and then it's the missing factor. Like, I need to go back to school. I need to get my GED. Time passes by, you know, and since I wasn't too school savvy or anything like that, I knew that was going to be a problem. You know, I was honest with myself right away and was like, all right, you are not the person that is just going to push through, get school done. Like, it is what it is.
You were self-aware at a young age. That's good, because some people aren't. It takes them a long time, all the way through their 20s, to actually find out who they are. So you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses. What made you decide to actually go and forego the military? I know based off of your boy and what he said, but when was the time where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna go do this?
And to be completely honest with you, I was like, if I'm gonna get killed out here for any kind of reason, it's gonna be overseas for a good reason.
Wow, okay.
You know, and not off of dumb high school politics, he said, she said, you know, tough guy stuff, you know. So I knew that, hey, all right, there's a purpose over there, you know, and a lot of my family members are Marines, so that was something already cooking in there, you know,
so
an
it was
option.
already preset.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and
Got it.
and but I just needed to get there, you know, graduate high school or leave at 17. So I go to the recruiter's office and I'm like, what's the fastest way in there at 17?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, just graduate high school. I mean, yeah, that's it. And come in, sign up. We'll send you. And I was like, well, I don't have a high school diploma. I dropped out. You know, and he's like, well, if you get a GED and your parents sign at 17, right when you turn, I mean, you know, it's kicking off. So we'll send you right.
We need you. Let's go.
Let's go. So one of my cousins, Anthony, actually went to a juvie/boot camp military school, where a lot of the juvenile kids in the state of Illinois, all the trouble kids, are mostly court ordered to go there. And it's ran by the National Guard. It's called Lincoln's Challenge. It's ran by the National Guard. A lot of Army Reserve drill sergeants are there, and the program was from January to June. You're in there, but you're in there with all the worst kids of the state of Illinois. It's not Chicago, but the state of Illinois.
It's a pretty long time too. January to June.
But the program is, you could sign yourself up for that program. You don't have to be 17. You could just be like, I want to change my life, or the court ordered me to get here, you know, and I have to I have to complete this program.
Gotcha.
But there's a free GED involved.
Okay.
So my cousin's like, all right, he was like, I got an idea. He's like, you could sign yourself up for that school.
Okay.
Go get that.
And you're ready almost. Like it pre-plans you for what you're going to have to deal with inside the military, correct?
That, and then the adversity that was going to come.
Yeah.
You know, because that's, you know.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just like every day.
Yeah.
You're going to have to be on point.
And going from, but the worst part about the situation was that I'm going, all right, I'm leaving this situation because of this extreme.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to even a bigger extreme because I'm going to be stuck with them and that kind of.
Yeah, but it's a little bit, obviously it's more structured. It's a more structured environment.
Yeah.
It's chaos, but it's controlled chaos.
In a way for the first 3 months, because all the kids get picked up at the Bear Stadium, actually. So they all got, wherever you're coming from Illinois, all meet up, all the buses show up to ship everyone out to Champaign, Illinois at the Bear Stadium.
Okay.
But this is at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and fights are breaking out in the dark. Parents are crying, saying goodbye to their kids. Yeah, because it's street politics to where it's on site.
Okay.
And these kids,
like
a lot of
gangs, and
a lot of these kids will be held accountable if word gets out that, hey, you were technically around these dudes.
Yeah.
And you're buddy now. You guys are like, you know, like, what is this, Major Pain?
This podcast is brought to you by Vivo Barefoot. Now check out vivobarefoot.com. That's the minimalistic shoe that I've been rocking on all my videos. If you've been watching my Instagram and YouTube, those are the shoes that I've been wearing to help my foot gain full foot functionality, strengthen up the intrinsic muscles of the feet to allow myself to perform better, and then also reduce the risk of injury. Now I personally like the Geo Racer Knit and the Primus Light 3. Check them out. Go to vivobarefoot.com and get the discount code DARU15 to get 15% off your final purchase. All right, now let's get on to the podcast.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of politics that they're held accountable for, you know? So fights are breaking out left and right.
Yeah.
We're on the buses, you know, we're on our way to Champaign, Illinois. You just hear dudes getting stuck in the bus. We constantly have to pull over. We get to the school, you're going through medical, you're getting your shots, guys are getting knocked out with shots in their arms.
Oh, shit.
So
what year is this?
This was in 2004.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm going through it and I'm in a complete like, oh man. Like I thought I got out of that situation. I thought I'm actually gonna get, you know, somewhere smoother. No.
Yeah.
So now I'm in there and I gotta completely, you know, survive. You know, adapt to the environment and then mission first. Be like, okay, I know inside, I know where I'm going. But I have to handle what this is, because it's not like, it's one thing being in that position and be like, all right, I got to go over there
Yeah.
and I'm used to it, you know,
Yeah.
and that.
Well, that's the one thing is you're used to it, but the great thing about this, and I always try to find the positives in this, is that you knew exactly what you were trying to do.
Yeah.
What was the goal? What was the vision? You know, what was the objective? Where when you were on the streets or you were back at home, you really didn't have an objective. You were just trying to survive. But you know that now I can survive and win if I keep moving forward with it.
Exactly. But you know, get to the end goal, and that was a rocky road because there was just so many situations where I wasn't even ready for it because I wasn't technically healing from what just happened.
Yeah.
So I'm going, you know, trauma's already starting, you know, unprocessed trauma, and then I'm going from one extreme to the other, and then here I am. But eventually, after 3-4 months, the games stop. Everyone kind of like, all right, we're all in this together, you know, camaraderie lifts up, the magic happens, you know, everyone becomes a team, becomes great friends, and then it's just, you know, going there, but still dealing with boot camp and the and the program and the structure of the school.
Gotcha.
So get out of there, graduate, go to the.
And how many fights you get into over there?
I got into one fight.
Okay,
and
not a bad one though.
It was, and the only reason, and this is
scuffle, like a big brawl, or just one?
No, so this is the crazy part about it, and this is where I kind of had a peace with God, and I was like, you know what, God, I know this is extreme, but I know you have me where you want me, because one of the dudes that circled me in the stairway was I caught him there at the cafeteria. And when we were going through line, it was just
Are you serious?
It was just an instant reaction.
Wow, that's crazy.
And we're going at it, you know, break it up really fast.
Yeah.
But there's where
Did you see him prior to seeing him in the cafeteria?
No, I had no idea. And this is like with the process and signing up for the school and all of that, that's about a year almost process. So whatever happened in his life, you know, till then he ended up there.
Okay, gotcha.
But after that, I kind of had a peace, and I was like, you know what, God, that's too much of a, you know what, I know you have me exactly where you want me. You know, I wasn't too religious and like where I'm at now, but I just knew the basics, you know, like, God, thank you. I you know what, this is too much of a coincidence. I'm gonna take it as a sign saying, I don't know where you got from me, but obviously it's something big, because this is, I don't understand it, but all right, you know. So that happens. Finish the course, finish the school, get my GED, go back to the recruiter's office. All right, here it is. 17 years old. All right, cool, infantry.
That's funny, man.
Let's go.
That's awesome, though.
You know, go through boot camp.
And you were like, I'm going right to infantry. You don't want to do anything else. You're just going right.
Well, I'm not gonna like sit here and be like, yeah, I was gung ho and all that. I think that's the only score I could get on the ASVAB. You know what I mean?
I like it.
It was either that.
Very honest man here.
It was either that. Motor T, which is truck driver.
Yep.
And then that's it. I think it was the only two. But my uncle was one of the nicknames for infantry is grunts. My uncle was a grunt. My cousin was a grunt, a machine gunner in Somalia.
Machine gunners,
So it was going that way, but could I sit here and pound my chest and be like, if I would have got a 90 on the ASVAB, would I have went, you know, infantry? Maybe, you know, but it was all destined. You know, it was definitely destined, especially when we get into my Iraq experience. And but yeah, you know, graduate the program, get in there, go to boot camp, you know, go through the whole boot camp stuff.
How was boot camp compared to the school?
Extreme. And I wasn't ready. I mean, I was 17, so I'm like, again, I'm not processed yet from everything. So the stress level in the boot camp was like a lot for me, to where I was like, it was tough for me. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, yeah, man, blast through it. You know, I was American made, born for this. Like, I was like, oh man, I hope God you got a great plan, because you know this, man.
What was the hardest thing in boot camp that you had to go through?
Just adjusting to the decision of doing that, because it's one thing if I was going through boot camp because I always wanted to be a Marine, or it was just, you know, in there, then you have it. But when you're kind of there, you don't know exactly, but you know it's a better decision. It's kind of hard mentally.
Sure.
Because, you know, it's all a game, you know, play the game. You know, they're there to break you down and stuff like that. But if you're not there for, I guess, clear reasons why you're there, then yeah, it could affect the mental a little bit.
Of course, yeah. You have to have a why, for sure.
Exactly.
You have to have a why, especially when it's that rough and those times get real down. You gotta have that.
Yeah, and it was just like I was like, man, you know, it was a wake-up call. But I knew I was growing up. I grew up right there.
Was there any point where you're like, I am not cut out for this, and I need to go home?
I didn't think that like weakness-wise, like oh, I'm not cut out for it.
Sure.
I just was like, damn, like, am I gonna really regret it to where I'm not gonna perform?
You're not gonna live up to the expectations that you have.
That, and then be a great asset to the to the operation. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because you know the military is very
worthy enough to.
Yeah, and the military is diverse. You know, I'm gonna be around grown men like tomorrow. You know, like.
And you're 18 now, probably.
17.
Still 17.
Still 17, and. To me, I didn't even have a bank account. I didn't even know how to open up a bank account.
Yeah.
You know, like I was barely. My friends were still buying me cigarettes. And here I am in uniform, ready to go to battle.
Yeah, you had to grow up quick, man.
So you know, I'm dealing with that, and then you know, I graduate boot camp, and I go through boot camp, and I go now. The next step is the School of Infantry. And once I'm there, there's this program that's like, how should I put it? It's like purgatory, and it's called guard.
That's a good word for it.
It's guard.
Okay.
So they just set you up to watch the outpost, and the reason behind that is because your class is not ready yet.
Gotcha.
They're not ready to start the new class. So this process could be anywhere from 2 weeks. Till I didn't even hear about it being this long, but it was a 6-month process.
Damn.
And this felt like jail almost, because you couldn't go, you haven't earned the right to like drive off base, do whatever you want. You're only off on Saturdays and Sundays, or not even that. You know, we're working Monday through Sunday, but since you're technically not assigned to a unit yet, you're still a student / boot, and that's what they call it, the nickname for rookie, all that. And so you haven't really earned anything, you haven't earned to like leave off base, do what you want.
Not quite a Marine.
So
still a student, something like that.
So, I'm in there, we're filled with tons of personalities, different backgrounds, and then now it's like we've lived around each other too long.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I get in another fight.
Yeah. That's gonna happen.
In another fight in there to where it's pretty bad. Now they got me in process, in question, to be like, okay, we might dishonorably discharge you.
Damn. That must be real bad then.
Yeah, it was, and the reason behind that, now that I look at it more mature and stuff like that, I was 17, straight out of Chicago.
Yeah.
With almost like PTSD from all of that, to where if someone was overstepping their boundaries with me, it was like a survival tactic.
Sure. Yeah.
Like, you can't get one off of me, because where I come from, that's like a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
And it was just a misunderstanding. One thing led to another. We got in a big fight. Kid ended up pretty bad or whatever. So, and I'm feel horrible about it right now, but I mean, I was a young kid, like,
bro.
I didn't know anything. I didn't know any better,
My days at 17, bro.
And then, watching all these movies and all that, I thought that's what Marines did.
Yeah.
I thought we win,
I think Marines still think sometimes that's what they do. I love my Marines. No, I'm just kidding.
And I thought that's what went down, I thought we kind of shook it off and, went there, but we're still in the early stages of it, students. So I can't remember his name, but it was a sergeant that was in charge of us. I think he grew up in Houston.
Okay.
From the hood and everything like that, and automatically, thank God, he was there. He was the one that actually stuck up for me to the command and said, you know what, I understand this kid. I understand them.
Yeah.
He's young. Where he comes from, that's how they react. Just give him another shot. If he continues on, throw his ass the hell out.
Yeah.
But they're locked in here for like more than, close to 6 months or however it was.
That's long.
It's just too many personalities clash.
Yeah.
So, got back in, everything's cool, whatever. And then now I'm like, man, I just gotta go. So we finish School of Infantry. Mm-hmm. Now I get dropped to one of the infamous units in the Marines, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines.
Gotcha.
So these dudes are legends all the way prior, or early wars. I mean, the valor gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Mm-hmm. And I'm coming in freshly from senior Marines that just finished the push through Fallujah.
Gotcha.
AKA Phantom Fury.
Yep.
When they went door to door action on the news, I watched it as, early. And here we are, we dropped to them. So I knew, like, all right, I know what time it is. These guys are going back. They're the tip of the spear for a lot of operations. Like, this is not going to be any games.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. This is where everything stops. Mm-hmm. And it's time to, knuckle up and go out there. So I dropped to the unit, and, man, training, the workup starts, and they're training us. We're in the desert. They're building that mindset,
Yeah. What was the things that they had you doing?
Oh, just regular mount training, and 29 palms.
What is that exactly? Explain.
So door to door,
Okay.
Room clearing and stuff like that. Heavy on that, because we were gonna go back to the outskirts of Fallujah, and since that, like, as fresh recently happened, that's what we were, most likely expecting maybe to do it again.
Yeah.
So we were heavy on like door to door, room clearing, old fashioned, grunt. Like early days, rushing uphill, machine guns, like laying down fire, having the riflemen rush up little by little. Mm-hmm. So we covered a lot, heavy on the training. Mm-hmm. And then we were set out to leave right after the New Year's holiday, January, and do the pump from January to June, I think it was, or something like that.
Yeah.
So here I am, young kid, in the infantry, 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines, here we go, we deploy. We're going out there, and, we get there, we fly into Kuwait, and then now we go from like the fancy planes, and it starts getting more private, more shittier, you know what I mean, more. And then when we go condition 1, it's like, all right, now we're not in the green zone or the safe zone anymore. There's not going to be a subway for a long time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, there's not gonna be any of that stuff for a long time. Okay. So, we get in our AO area of operation, and we start in these places called Amaria, Ferristown, and these are nicknames for the parts of Iraq that we were at. So these were just outskirts of Fallujah, little suburban spots, if you were to put it.
Yeah.
And the combat starts right away. It's not as heavy, but they're taking pop shots. They're hitting us here, they're ambushing us here. And we were swapping out with different platoons of the company to where 1st platoon and 2nd platoon, they're all, put out in different places. But we were swapping out posts. A lot of us, we would go back to this place called Ferristown. I'll never forget this area of operation, Ferristown. This was the most eerie, something out of a Goosebumps book, man. Yeah. Like, they had like an abandoned carnival with the Ferris wheel.
That's weird.
In a little city.
Why though? What was going on there?
It just, I don't know.
Just abandoned?
Yeah, there was no kids. Nothing played, but it had an eerie feeling to it.
That's strange. Okay.
And the neighborhoods or the gang, they were like buildings, were like stories like that, but then it was one at a time patrolling through the street. So just sitting ducks for any kind of a sniper's dream, Yep. So that's the kind of patrolling, plus the town, how it looked and all that. So, we go out there, and then unfortunately I lose one of my good friends. He gets a KIA, Cardelli, in Ferristown. And I seen him right before that happened, because he relieved me in the outpost. We went out there. I relieved him, he gave me a big hug, and went back to Ferristown. Went right on the roof, and there was a kid's school right in front of the view that we had on the roof. And I guess, you know, when the sniper snuck in, you know, by the fountain somewhere in that area where the kids were, because that's how they operated. They liked to hit us when there was like people around and, you know, just real cowardly, you know, hit us. So unfortunately, you know, a sniper ended up killing him. And, you know, right there and then hearing the prayer, the mosque, you know, right after that, the sun going down. To me, again, that was another culture shock because I'm a city boy, city kid from Chicago. I never even went to another country or experienced that. So to experience death again, another friend, and then now something that I've never even heard before, like a prayer, you know, on the speaker and all that, I knew. And then the smell of burning trash and like death and violence, you know, that was surreal to me because I was like, whoa, that was my buddy, you know, like this is the real deal. You know, and tomorrow's, you know, not promised. I don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. And here we are. This is the beginning of the deployment.
Was
so
this
I'm like,
the first time? Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but this is the first time that that you witnessed this, like a friend, a partner, somebody that was in your platoon. Like, is that the first?
So he was in first platoon.
Yeah.
I didn't witness it, but my close friends, you know, witnessed it. They were there. You know, they had to actually carry him out, you know, and just seeing him wounded the way he was, they really kind of ate him up, you know. To this day, they still, you know, deal with that. And but it hit us all, you know, pretty hard because we were all young, you know. We were young. And
what was the oldest one in your group?
I think he was 20, like the oldest guys would be like 26s, 27.
Still young.
Yeah, still young, you know, but here we are, you know, we're just young kids.
Getting it done though.
Yeah, getting it done. And
that's crazy, man.
So yeah, the action starts then. Now, you know, it starts revving up a little bit and then things get a little quiet. And then there was this place outside of there called Habaniya, where the Army was operating out of. No offense to the Army or anything like that, but they ended up getting hit so bad that they were combat ineffective. They completely pulled out.
Wow.
So now they pulled out. This area of operations unmanned for like a couple months, you know, so these guys all go out there, you know, and take over the town, place their, you know, get ready, and it's the Wild Wild West. It's nothing but dudes walking around, just completely free.
Yeah.
And then we get the call saying, hey, you guys, we got to put the Marines in there. You guys got to go take that little town back. Because it's infested. They're all out there. The Army just got, you know, completely slammed, you know, and now, you know, you guys got to go over there. So here we are, we're going over there, walking into a complete buzzsaw. Because when the area of operations is unmanned, now that means that they've been digging up roadside bombs. Nobody's been watching. I mean, who knows, you know? Yeah. And at that time, the roadside bombs were a big, you know, vehicle suicide bombs were huge. They were hitting us hard with that. It was the invisible enemy, you know, like you just didn't know when it was gonna happen. It just kind of happened. So here we are, you know, we're going over there. The whole company shuts down shop where we were at. And then here we go, all the trucks going out there. And once we get there, day one, we start getting hit. We get ambushed from the left to the right. I mean, there's markets to the left and right, and we're on a patrol. And they hit the first truck, and they hit the last truck with an IED, I believe. And they basically, what it came down to is they trapped all the trucks in the middle. And then until we had communication with all the trucks to push on, we were just getting leveled and hit from left, right. And my truck actually got hit with the IED, because I remember we were just, you know, driving, rolling, and my friend Gonzo was on the turret, and we're rolling like nothing, and then boom, this big dust cloud is just appearing, and you know, I'm going forward, slow motion, and I'm looking around, and I see my guys just like like going the way motion took them. Like their bodies were not controlled. It was just like, you know, and complete, like everyone's just looking at each other like, what was that? And that was one of the first concussions that I experienced, because when my bell was rung and I was sitting there, I remember bullets were hitting the truck. We were getting hammered, but it took a little bit to like come off of that, you know, stage a little bit.
Yeah, you're concussed.
And I'm inside like, like
back to it.
Oh, grab the gun, you know, like, and try to, inside I was like, go into to reaction mode, you know, go all of that.
Physically, you weren't able to get there,
And finally, when we snapped 2 back in there, now I hear the screaming. Go, 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 the chaos. And they almost blew the top off to where I could see these guys coming out of the market, you know, like spraying us.
Yeah.
And I remember what was going through my mind. I had a grenade right here, and I was like, man, if this door opens up, man, we going.
Yeah.
You ain't cutting my head off.
Yeah.
I ain't on MSNBC, like, please guys, send help. Like, no, absolutely not. I'm not gonna put my family through that. You know, my bad, homie, if if this hits you a little bit, you know, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm not getting, you know, because it's either that or risk coming out of the truck and getting sprayed, you know?
When it did hit the truck, I probably don't remember, but how big was the blast? Did the truck come off of the ground? Do you feel like you were weightless? Like, what happened there?
I felt, I didn't know what happened to the truck if it came out. I felt weightless, anti-gravity inside of it.
Yeah, I'm just wondering,
when the dust kicked up.
I'm just wondering if it did leave, because obviously it's a big blast.
So it affected the truck so bad that when we finally, and then when we came, like everything came to, like I could hear stuff and like move around now. Gonzo just falls down, boom, his eyes in the back of his head, and I'm like, oh my God, and we're there. And he's like, oh, and Gonzo's fucked up.
Yeah, of course.
And then we're yelling, we're screaming. And when we finally got communications with all the truck, like, we're good, hit the gas. The truck was like, go, like it was shutting down.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like something out of like Boys in the Hood when they were like, I was like, go. Like, come on, please, God, let this truck make it.
Yeah.
And literally, it shut down right when we got to the place where we were going to put him on the bird. It completely broke down right there.
Man, crazy.
Like something.
But that shows you right there that God did have a plan.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
And
that's crazy, man.
So right away, we put Gonzo on the bird. You know, we're there. I'm pissed because I'm like, all right, this is, nah, you know what I mean? Like, they're doing some coward stuff, man. They're just blowing us up, taking a little, you know, like, no. And we're on a hill, and we're looking down on the hill, and the smoke hasn't even cleared. The market's right there. I'm looking right at them, and I don't see nobody run out. I'm like, man, those fools are still in there. So right away,
Chicago came up.
Oh man, Chicago activated. I was like, yo, we gotta spin that block again.
Yeah.
But this time, get this. Let's go. Hit the trucks. Let's go.
Yeah.
But of course, you know, it's not how it works. You know, you can't just go over there like, hey, y'all the ones. You know, nah. You know. But were we gonna go back? Yeah. But we needed to, you know, take care of Gonzo, have him on the bird. Yeah. Reassess, debrief, what went on, where did we get hit, attacked, and then now we beefed up. Now we got a few trucks, ton of trucks, and I was on a 7-ton truck with a Mark 19. I don't know if you know what a Mark 19 is. Automatic grenade launcher, 40 mic, little machine gun.
On top. Yeah, got you.
So,
and this is on top of the truck. Right?
Yeah. So I just had something I felt like, God, I don't want to put it on God, you know what I mean? Like, but I just felt something inside of me saying, like, get ready because you're gonna see something. Like, I just knew it was just too, like, it wasn't that long ago we got in a fight. They're gonna hit us again. Yeah. You know, they haven't stopped. So we're rolling back, and there you go, man. Right there. The one thing that I could, you know, that stood out like a magnifying glass You got a guy coming out with an AK-47, you know, but all goofy, handling it like that. And right away, I was like, yo, right there. And boom, we spotted it. Stopped the truck, and before he could even come up, boom, unloaded. Ran it back.
Yeah.
And after that, I was like, whoa, you know, here it is, you know?
Yeah.
Everybody's in combat now. Like, this is it. We fired back. We could see the enemy. It's go time, you know? And from there, we go back and we're operating out of straight up houses. Like, we're not on these like far away base where we just keep coming back. No, we're in their neighborhood, staying in one of their buildings. And going out patrolling and doing all that. So we're far away from like a big base or anything like that.
Yeah,
We're
you're by yourself out there.
Yeah, we're operating out of there.
Gotcha.
And then, so, you know, we're there, we're operating out of the houses, and we were in this operation post called OP Bears. And the old company commander, Captain Coleman, was he was from Chicago. He was a Bears fan, so he named all the OPs like OP Bears, OP Cubs, you know, and it was cool. It would bring morale, it bring a little sense of home, you know?
Yeah.
And so we're at OP Bears, and now Zarqawi gets killed, one of the main leaders in there. And I don't know all the names of the crews. You know, you got the Taliban, which is heavy in Afghanistan. You got ISIS. You got in my era, what I was hearing a lot is the Mujahideen. So that was, I guess, their crew or whatever, you know. So
and this was in Iraq. This is where primarily.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Zarqawi gets killed. Now we start hearing about other units getting hit up. Like now they're coming hard. You know, big leader gets killed, and they're coming at us hard. So we're fighting out of the OP, out of the house, and I know when it came down to like an assessment of the area operation, we needed a machine gun, but because of the rules and regulations of, you know, you just can't put a machine gun anywhere. You know, the fields of fire have to be covered. Everything has to be backed up to the T. You know, it's a big gun.
Yeah.
So, you know, we know, but we're getting hit every single day, and these dudes are like right there. And a lot of the times when it came to water, fuel, food, and all that, all came in the middle of the night. You know, never during the day, because they're always blowing the trucks up.
Yeah.
So here comes the machine gun that's prepped to go for us to use at the house. But because I guess it didn't cover whatever regulations that they had on the roof, we needed to put it on the truck, leave it on the truck, but park it on the side of the house. And then whoever is the lucky winner goes and operates on the truck.
Yeah.
So, you know, they would attack first thing in the morning all the time, a lot, right after prayer. You know, they just kick it off, you know. So
5 a.m. somewhere around there.
So while this truck comes in, it's in the middle of the night, and they attack us first thing in the morning, right there in the morning. They were watching us the whole time. They knew, like, all right, they're bringing in heat. We gotta take that truck out. You know, and then, you know, to handle these in the house, because of course the squad, you know, they're gonna be two positions that are fighting.
Yeah.
So right away, first thing in the morning, it kicks off, bullets are flying, our house, you know, and our house got hit with rockets inside of it. I mean, you'd be there chilling, heating something up, boom, rockets just shoot right through the window.
Jeez.
I mean, we were doing it.
Yeah.
You know, it was live, you know, it was live.
How many nights of sleep would you say you got, like, within the entire time that you were there? Like, overall, you don't have to put a number on it, but
it's hard to say because we like didn't sleep. It was something like 3 hours, and then you're like 12 hours on post, just for everyone to get somewhat decent amount.
Did you? I mean, obviously you can't get fully acclimated, but did you get accustomed to like not sleeping as much and just being able to operate on low sleep? Yeah,
I mean, your animal instincts,
your fight or flights kick in.
Yeah, it's a whole nother frequency. You know,
makes sense.
And then when you start getting getting in firefights, like the real like
your adrenaline's going.
Yeah,
yeah,
because now morale is up and there's a reason to be in the suck.
Yeah.
There's a reason now to like deprive the sleep and all that, because now they're you know.
There's a visual objective that you have.
Yeah, and complacency kills. When there's nothing going on and all that could be like a misery sentence. Where you're just out there, sitting there.
I could imagine the more you stay still, the more you think about being back home.
Yeah.
Right?
And you can't think of that, because when things pop off, it just pops off with you least expected. You know.
Yeah,
so,
no, for sure.
Yeah, we're in the house, and then they start shooting first thing in the morning. So they're shooting, bah, 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 bah. And I guess before all that happened, one of my leaders was having a big talk with the officer that was in charge of us, and no one was in the wrong. It was just a tough situation. You know, of course, my leader was trying to get me out, because the officer was like, yo, we're gonna put Cano in the truck. And anything pops off, he's gonna man it, and then, you know, we'll go. And my leader was like, absolutely not. You know, like, how are we gonna have him fight on the side of the house in the truck, and then all of us in here? Like, it just doesn't feel right, you know, it doesn't seem right. But no, I don't blame anybody. Nobody was in the wrong, because I mean, if we can't have it on the roof, then what do we do? You know, someone's gonna have to go in there at the end of the day, you know, whether tough break, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So bullets are flying. I rush into the truck, dive into the truck, throw my gear in there, go up, and nothing.
Oh, wow.
And they start getting pounded.
Oh, man.
Like,
what do you think happened? Like, what was the problem?
so the backstory on that is that, and again, I'm not blaming anybody. I call this destiny.
Yeah.
It was supposed to go down like that.
Yeah.
So whoever prepped the machine gun, I don't know if you ever seen like the links, like when it comes to like the ammo and all that.
Yep.
We got like a link that looks like that. We call it female end, and then the one that clips onto the other links, that's male end. And when you do that in the Mark 19 and the male end goes in first, it hits the round, but the gun gets jammed.
Yeah.
So now you got a live round, and the only way to fix it is you have to break down the entire machine gun and then catch the live round, bury it, that doesn't blow up on its own, because the pin already hit.
Oh, wow. It's like it's almost a grenade. At that point.
But I mean, that's a mistake that, I mean, shouldn't happen, you know what I mean?
No,
Like,
absolutely not.
so whoever prepped the gun prepped it that way. So right when I went for it, jam.
Damn.
But I had no idea what was wrong. Because another thing too is that whenever you put lube on the gun and a little sand gets, you know,
Yeah, it's gonna.
you're gonna have to put some man into it, you know, a little bit. It might slide little by little.
So
but then
you were
eventually-
trying though, right? You kept going with it.
Oh man, I got, this is the turret right here. I put my feet on the dashboard and I was like,
Yanking that shit.
yeah, yanking it.
What was it at any point where you're like, oh shit, it's probably just got some dust in it, or you're
Yeah, I wasn't thinking it was jammed.
like, yeah,
I was like, damn, I'm being a little bitch, you know, like, oh, I mean,
weak right now.
yeah, all my might. But then they started pounding the truck.
Yeah.
I mean, bullets were hit. I mean, I couldn't even see out of the windshield. It looked like a hurricane of like bullets.
Damn.
It was hard impacting. And I'm there and I'm like, I mean, it's bad. And I'm looking and I mean, bullets are hitting the turret, dude. So it's not like I could like pop up and try at least to do something, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, man, I go again. But this time I hear, and man, here it comes. Boom, rocket hits the truck. I mean, I went from here to like this way. Again, that whole body dangling like a worn out action figure. Just, blah, just hit the ground like that. And bell is rung, and I'm again in that stage, you know, where, oh, you know, like that hurt, you know? Yeah. And I'm there and I'm looking at the turret, you know, and I'm like just looking at the gun as like a shiny, like 007, like must secure, like, you know, like gotta get it in my weaponry, you know, and I'm looking at it and I'm trying. And finally when I snap out of that like feeling, I was like, hey, like screaming like, hey, like you gotta get me the fuck out of here now.
Yeah.
But my squad was trying, like as soon as they didn't hear the gun open up right away, they hit communication. They were like, yo, we have to go check on him. The gun is not firing. We're getting pounded here. Something's wrong. But they, you know, they were shooting up the door. They were not letting them to come out. So I'm there, I'm screaming, I'm like, you know. So right away I'm like, man, please, God, please let this gun go. It's like, and I get up again and try to go it, and here we go again. Another one. This time, boom. I mean, I see like stars. I mean, like, boom, I'm on the ground.
What the fuck?
And I'm there like in a vegetable state to where that's it. I'm not like, I don't feel my body. Like all I am is eyeballs.
Yeah.
Like moving in, you know. And then the truck starts smoking up. The truck starts smoking up, and you know, I watch too many movies, you know. What do you think? Just go boom, you know, like so.
For sure.
I just feel like I can't explain it. Like there's times where there's like near like when you almost die, you almost get. But there was like a convincing factor to where I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna die here. Like this is it. You know, I can't move, I can't yell, I can't, you know. And I just started praying to God, and I was like, God, if you're gonna take me right now, please don't burn this thing. Just blow it up, you know. Please don't let me go out like that. Because you know that mother's connection, you know, her baby goes out screaming or something like that. My mom's gonna feel it somewhere. You know, she's gonna feel it in her chest, like, damn, you know. And could you imagine all I kept thinking about is the news of how I died. Like your son burned to death. You know, and I felt like the pain that she was gonna go through if that was gonna go down. So I said, please, God, man, like if you're gonna do this, just blow this thing up, you know. And as I was looking through the hole in the turret, it just like I can't. It was like something I've never like Jello, dude. So like just imagine reality here, and it just starts like looking like Jello, and then boom, I'm in a tunnel. And I'm traveling through, and I'm seeing like images of my life, but very random times in my life. It wasn't like top 10 moments, you know, like it was just very random. Like I saw my grandmother blowing out coffee for my grandfather because it was too hot, you know, and they raised me along with my parents, you know, they were huge into my life. And then me and my sister fighting over the remote, you know, as kids. And I was like, whoa, you know. But then as I was traveling through, I felt like, I don't know how to explain it, like us being here, like living, like your muscles are sore, your blood's flowing, there's thoughts in the back of your mind, you know, like you're in this human canvas, you know, in this life. All of that was shaving off to where now I'm traveling through, and then now I'm just a beam of light. And now everything is infinite. There's no time. I can't explain it, but there's no thoughts. There's no of this world. There's no you just are. And it's infinite, clean, like you're washed with everything. And you're here about to meet God, you know, come into the gates. You know, I don't know, I'm not sure. I'm not here saying like, yeah, God, you accepted me, you know what I mean? But that's how, you know, I didn't see anything, I didn't hear anything or anything, but
that's crazy. As
I was traveling through, I was like, oh, wow. And then when I just was, I felt like the most amount of love that you will ever feel in your life. I mean, it just never turns off. It just is. And God, and that's how God is. He just is. That's it.
Yeah. That's amazing, man. It's funny because I've had conversations with individuals that have near-death experiences, very similar, like, and everybody has their own way of thinking, and these were thoughts probably deeply embedded into your subconscious.
Yeah.
Right? And who knows what happened there? You're in the fourth dimension, like as you're going through time is non-existent at that point, or it's always going, like you said, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And you almost have this understanding of why you were there on the earth that you were given.
Yeah.
You know? And given the things that you've been given. And so with that, it allows you to put yourself in a good state of mind and give yourself some perspective.
Yeah.
At that moment, though, right now, after all of that, when everything comes back, what did you do? You know, what happened?
So after that, I'm there, like, you know, going through like all infinite light, and then all of a sudden it just went, and then ba 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 ba, doom 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 doom, and I'm getting drug out of the truck.
Wow.
And I'm like, boom, right here, and they're like, go go go, because the bullets were flying so hard that they can't. I'm, you know, not a small dude, you know, with gear and all that. They can't all stand up and carry me. They literally had to like kind of push me, tumble, and just keep pushing me to the door.
Yeah.
But when I came to and I was doing all that, like I felt like I was like knuckle dragging, and feeling wasn't back yet. But then I felt it from like my feet to my legs to my up to right here, until when it finally like clicked in there, I felt like this rush of adrenaline to where I felt like I swallowed a lightning bolt. Like, I was like back, you know, in this world. And the first instinct was to run up the steps as fast as I could. And there was, I don't remember who it was that was on the machine gun that I was manning, the 240 Bravo. I was like, get the fuck off. And I just threw him off, and I like stood up from the hip, and I was like,
fucking full Rambo, dog.
I was like, ah. And I felt like I could like eat bullets, you know what I mean?
Shit, yeah.
And
that's crazy.
After that, like, you know, I came to and stuff, and I was like confused a little bit, because I was afraid to kind of start speaking about it, you know, especially in country. I'm not gonna be like, hey guys, I went to heaven, you know, like, whoa, time out, you know, like, got your bell rung a little bit, you know, like, and then it starts and stuff. So, and that's the thing in the military, and in all honesty, like, hey, watch all that, you know, don't end up, you know, getting, so, and for a while I was like, did I experience that? Or did I like, was it my fear that like unlocked that and froze, you know what I mean? Like, and kind of imagined it, or I don't know, you know. I was just so thrown back that how could I go from that to back in country? And then a part of me, it was a gift and a curse at the same time, because after that, once you experience that kind of eternal love, it's hard to kind of go through the things here in this world, because then you're like, man, I'm not suffering anymore. Like, why do I gotta suffer? You know, and that's how life is. You know, life is beautiful. It's not all about suffering and stuff like that, or, you know, but it's just, it has its poetic flow, you know. There's goods and there's bads, you know. But when you experience that and you go through that, it's kind of like, God, you know, why couldn't I just stay with you then? You know, like, why do I gotta be here, an alcoholic, PTSD, addictions, falling down, you know, and feeling like impending doom every single day, you know, hard. I got to work really hard to be happy, positive. You know, I got to train like an animal, you know. I'm tired, you know, like, I don't want to do all this. And you look at people that have never been through that kind of experience, trauma, they're just happy all the time. You know, of course they got their days and all that, but they don't work half as hard. So all of that starts coming into play. So for me, I feel like I kind of buried that experience in a part of my brain, to where when the real life of, you know, life, the bumps and bruises came when I got out of the military and all that, got out with traumatic brain injury, PTSD, out at 21, you know, with the highest level of education, a sophomore, kind of, you know, and a GED, kind of. Because, I mean, you just study the test all the way to graduation. So it's not really like, there's no really education there, you know? So here I am, like, going through all that. And I kind of buried it in my brain and all that. And I just was like, this is too much, what's in front of me. All of this, you know, addiction, alcohol, you know, and living with that, you know, living with all that.
Well, let's back up a little bit, because you say, so now you get out of the military after this situation, right?
No, I
still in for a while.
Yeah, still in for like two years, a year and a half after that, process out. You know.
Any other concussions after that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is, and this is the main event right here.
Gotcha.
So that happens. And then the very next day, I'm on post first thing in the morning. And remember, Zarqawi, he still got hit, you know, so they're out for blood. You know, they're amping it up. Mm-hmm. And I'm on the roof, and all I see is all these people walking up to the house with white flags. Real odd. All bunch of dudes just waving white flags. And I'm like, and they're coming around, dude. They're like coming up. And right away, I was like, something ugly. This feels bad. Yeah. And then a car drives from a distance, beep, 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 waving the white flag. You know, something out of like Blood In, Blood Out, that ambush that happened.
Sure.
The car there, you know, all that. And right away, right before I could even, hey guys, this looks at, boom. And I guess from what happened and what the report said, and overall in this experience in this outpost, we had over like 60 guys rush us, trying to, you know, take us out within that time period, you know. And finally, when they planned this huge attack, they flanked the house. They flanked us from the other side, heavy ambush, got all of our attention on there. And then from the rear, the guy was in the car full of explosives and almost drove it into the house. But luckily we had outside barriers, you know, to absorb the blast, protect us. Yeah. But it was still big enough that I was just there and it just blew, boom. And again, the same thing, the dust cloud, the slow motion wiggle, all of that. And then this time I'm hitting the concrete floor because this is the roof. Kevlar is off, that thing is gone. And I just remember pop, pop, and just there again. And this time I go out, boom. And then when I wake up, I don't even know how this happened, but when he blew himself up, when he exploded, all his body parts rained on the roof. So when I woke up, I had his like intestines, all of his like arm was over there. His insides were still sizzling and all that. And I was like, oh, fucked up. And my guys are trying to low crawl because at the same time the cami netting that we had set up fell. So here bullets are flying. They're like trying to crawl through the cami netting to like aid me to see what's going on. And I got this dude's insides all on me. I'm looking at him and I'm like picking them up. And I'm so messed up that I thought it was mine. So I like open up my jacket and I'm like collecting it. And I'm like shoveling inside my jacket like, oh, you know? And I just kept thinking, I was like, man, like, you know, freaking pop me, I ain't going home. Like, nah, man. Nothing against guys that, you know, they're like, not like that, you know, like that's too much, you know? So they're slapping it away. Hey, it's not yours, it's not yours, it's not yours. And you know, they're dragging me. I'm coming in and out of consciousness this time. Like coming in, coming out, coming in, coming out. And I just remember like bits and pieces. And to get on the roof, there was like a stairway that was just one person could go at a time because of our gear and all that. So they couldn't carry me down there because now the only few guys that are on the roof are getting pounded. So they're like, man, bro, and the corpsman's down there waiting for me down the steps, you know, with some other Marines. And they're like, man, bro, we love you, sorry for this, and throw me down the stairs. And I'm boom, 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 going down the steps, bam, flat out. Then the corpsman starts, boom, Doc Yen starts assessing me. And when I see some of the Marines staring at me, like looking with this emotional face, I'm like, damn, I got fucked up. I got fucked up. I was like, damn, this one's it. This is it. Like, I ran out alive.
What was the look on her face? Like, damn.
Like,
it's over.
Like I'm a crack and cry right now.
Really? You were close with all those guys, obviously.
Yeah, you know, and some of them were my senior Marines. So could you imagine the weight they were feeling right there at that moment?
Yeah, they feel responsible somewhat.
Yeah. You know, so they're feeling that weight immediately.
Especially like after the other incidences that happen too as well on top of that, you know.
And I'm there like, damn, they done got me. They done got me this time.
Yeah.
Like, I ain't getting away this time,
Crazy,
you know.
man. What are you, 22 now?
No,
you're still
I'm
young,
18.
right?
So I'm there, you know, Doc Yem's, you know, getting me like that. And now they're calling the bird, trying to get the bird, you know, to cut. They're like, no, we ain't touching down over there. It's hot.
Yeah.
So we, you know, they call in air, tanks. I mean, they're leveling the position of these guys just to get a little breathing room because they were shooting the door up. Mm-hmm. And the last thing I remember before coming out of that house, you know, Doc was like, he gave me his pistol, just shoot to the left when you come out the door because they're hitting. So I'm on the stretcher with the pistol getting carried out. We go through the door, go, boom, 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 boom. Boom, get thrown in the truck, hot pistol, just throw it, bam, out.
Wow.
Now I wake up and I'm like coming in the helicopter, it's just foggy, and then bam, flatline.
Wow.
And then I wake up and I'm in the emergency room and lights are everywhere, they're cutting me up. I mean, nurses are, it's a big panic, man. Like,
man.
But I was like, damn, what the fuck happened to me, man? Like, you know, like but inside, like I was just, like you know, I was convinced, like, is this my last moment? I mean, and boom, go out again. Mm-hmm. And then now I wake up at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning in a bubble next to some dude with no legs and not knowing what the hell happened in a hospital robe. Mm. And he's filling me in. He was like, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened, bro. Like, exactly. But like when you came in here, you were pretty banged up. I'm sure the nurse is she's gonna fill you in, you know. So just take it easy, dude. And here, you know, the next morning I wake up, they tell me, they're like, yeah, this happened. And, you know, we'll take you back to your guys and your company, you know, and you know, in a couple of days, I think I stood there for 2 days. Mm-hmm. They're like, we'll take you back out. And here,
back out, huh?
Yeah, back out. You know, go out there. They gave me bed rest for like 3 weeks or whatever, 3-4 weeks, and then. But at those times, it was different. This is 2006, you know, when the bodies, they needed all the bodies there. There wasn't such thing as, you know, like, all right, guy, you know, like, and, you know, I come out, and I guess this was like the most, and this is where I got that feeling again, like that I had in the military school, where I was like, all right, God, I know you're doing something. I don't know what's going on, but I know you're doing something because, so we had this thing in the Humvees to where you can never, ever, and don't even ever get caught in one of them without your gear on. It's not a normal car. You never sit in there, you know, normal and drive around and stuff. Yeah. Maybe the special forces guys, you know, do that, or, you know, I don't know. But to us, it was like forbidden, and, you know, of course not. But when they cut up all my gear and boots and did all that, everyone was like, I don't know where it went, you know, and they were like, well, what are we going to give them? We got to give them protection, you know, a uniform again. Yeah. I don't know what the politics were and all that. And they were like, well, there's no uniform for him and all that. So I get back. So because there was no flak for me, no Kevlar, nothing, just gym shoes, a green USMC hoodie and a green USMC sweatpants and a pistol. That's all they had for me.
He was doing
so
it.
They ordered like
you back in Chicago.
So they ordered like a 40, 50, I mean something ridiculous for like the president, the general convoy, just to make sure that like nothing goes down. Yeah. Super max protection. Yeah. And when I was sitting back in that Humvee with no protection, nothing, just a hoodie, sweats, gym shoes, and a pistol, you know, back
I don't mean to laugh. That's crazy, though. Just looking at that.
Yeah, back
picturing in my mind, you know.
Back from the dead, you know, like 18 years old, like there's where I was like, okay, God, all right, I don't, man, this is crazy, but this is kind of like a unique moment. Never would that ever happen, you know, probably again, you know, take somebody out like that. But I just looked at it as like, you know, God's got me, you know, no matter how crazy it is, look at you, you know, you're good, you're coming back. Thank God, all limbs, you know, a little banged up, you know, brain injury, all that. But I just felt like it was like a storyline kind of playing out. Yeah. I didn't understand what it was going to become, what it was going to be, but I just needed to trust, you know, and
that's wild, man. So now that you're back in, and then you finish your it's deployment, right? And then you go back, but you're still in the military.
Still in the military, yeah.
When did they give you? When did you get out?
2009.
Okay, so a little bit after.
Yeah. Okay. And I got honorable discharge, got out, smooth.
Purple Heart.
Purple Heart.
When you found out you were getting Purple Heart, how did that feel?
I wasn't even expecting it because, honestly, I feel like a Purple Heart should be like you got popped or like something, you know what I mean, like a limb missing or something, like
that. I mean, that's admirable of you, but
I was
at the end of the day, you got blown up 3 times, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. And so I didn't really, and my guys, we were never into like the medals and stuff like that. We were just kind of like just dudes, that
doing
love
your job.
And just party animals, love booze, love violence, gun shooting, and it is what it is. A lot of us were just gonna do 4 years anyway, so but yeah, I mean, got the Purple Heart, and it was that's when I was like, okay, I had a little peace with the whole situation, but I was feeling a little different at that time because I knew I was like, damn, man, I'm gonna be fucked up a little bit. I just felt it coming. Yeah. I was like getting out at 21 years old. That happened. I'm borderline an alcoholic. This is probably gonna be tough. I'm gonna go back to Chicago and I'm not gonna have my guys with me. Like, you just kind of like, it was that unsure feeling, but then at the same time excited. Like, I'm gonna get out, have freedom and, do what I want again and stuff. So yeah, just kind of took it like that.
Started now with the alcohol and drugs and things like that. Like, as far as that goes, when did you start to really use as much as you felt like it was a problem?
In the military. Yeah. It started there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because like towards the end, when you're getting out, you're not like you're not shooting, you're not training, you're not that busy.
Gotcha.
They have this thing where they either have you work at the gym to kind of help you transition to like a normal job, clean the towels, clean the gym.
Were you training people at that time or no?
No, I was training in the gym, active, and I always had a passion, for that.
Gotcha.
It was just kind of, all right, I need to figure me out, you know what I mean? Like, before I even, get out there. Because I knew, with having traumatic brain injury, I was literally illiterate when I got out. My speech was impacted. I mean, I couldn't even spell.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't until like my friends, and when I got out, the Nokias were still out. Yeah. So it wasn't until like a friend was like, damn, bro, I love you, dog, but you can't spell for shit, man. You know what I mean? Like, damn, like, and there was no spell check, you know?
We got that now, don't worry about that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So there's where I knew, I was like, oh man, I think I'm not ahead of the curve here. I think I'm a little behind. Like, sure, when it comes to like the military stuff, security, anything like that, I'm gonna fall in those dimensions.
Well, you're a specialist now at that point, right? So now you have traumatic brain injury, obviously. You've blown up 3 times, you have something, and then from there, a slight case, were you diagnosed with PTSD?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you getting treated by the VA, or how's that working?
The VA, honestly, I stood away from it, and a lot of veterans could, agree with me. Yeah. And
I know, that's why I asked.
Yeah, because I mean, right off at the door, they're gonna shove pills. That's the first thing that they pull out.
Exactly. They did that to my father.
Yeah. Yep. They shove pills down your throat. It's there, but the therapists, all the people that work there, man, they're just trying to do their thing. Yeah. It's a system. It's a good accredited, it's a federal job. It's not their fault. They're just doing their thing, and they like helping people. Sure. I've met some beautiful people that work for the VA. Ladies, older ladies that never, every single day work happy and go above and beyond and never get tired.
There's always good people everywhere. You find it.
So I knew right there and then, I was like, my therapy, my healing, all that is going to be up to me. I can't be there and be like, oh, you guys are not helping me and all that. Like, it was going to come from another source.
So what was that source?
The study of astronomy, quantum mechanics, and just touching back to the childhood happiness that I felt before all that.
So
My own little world, you know?
With the astronomy, with the quantum mechanics, all of that, did that have something closely connected to your situation and what you went through inside the truck?
Yes, because Einstein, when he came up with the theory of relativity, he envisioned himself as a light, traveling, you know, as a beam of light, instant, and then it clicked for him. For me, I experienced that to where when I studied quantum mechanics and astronomy, I felt like nothing could touch me, nothing could harm me. My past.
It's all right, man. You're good. You're in a safe space. Take your time. Take a breath. You're good.
Yeah. I just felt, damn,
Good,
damn, I almost made it.
You're good, bro. You're good.
No, I just felt like the study of it was like the material was so complex that I didn't have time to think about depression, trauma, any of that stuff, you know. And then, as a little kid, I used to always kind of like imagine how, you know, gravity worked, the planets and stuff. So I had no choice. I was like, man, I got to start from the root of where I got my creativity, where I got my dream big, where I got, you know. And it was a mixture of course, 80s, 90s wrestling with astronomy. That was my world, you know. It was just my world. So I started there, but ever since that near-death experience, I had this infatuation with it, but this weird understanding of knowing it to where I shouldn't even be capable of comprehending it. Because if you look at the father's education, man, that wasn't an education.
Yeah.
And here I am understanding this stuff because it just was familiar.
Yeah.
And Einstein had the same, you know, experience to where he would always daydream and visualize it. And when I would do that, I felt like I was escaping the human canvas. I was escaping depression and all that because, you know what? It's limitless. The vast universe, you know, all of our understanding of it could be maybe a germ of truth, right? Or maybe completely at all, but it's just infinite, the possibilities. So for me, I felt, since I gravitated and understood it, I had a special way of explaining it. And I started using it with fitness. Because if I could understand this stuff and then re-explain it in fitness, I understand it. That's education. But now I could make it simple in a way where I could give this gift of healing to everyone I interact with.
It's amazing.
And when I started studying that and, you know, having that, I remember like just talking about it, being an enthusiast of space. When people's lives around me started changing and they were like, man, dude, like you saved my life, man. Like I was depressed and all that, but because of how passionate you are, the way you talk about space, and then you merge it with fitness and you explain it. Because I had a professor in college for the little bit of time that I went to college, Professor Lastly, I'll never forget him, environmental science teacher. And he had a way to where it was always, he made us critical think for everything. You know, it was the analogy, the example, the definition, just a good way where you're gathering information and you're quantizing everything that's in front of you. So for example, if we could talk about multi-dimensional ways of how a podcast, how this helps the public, we could quantize it in a way where this helps with motivation, staying positive, learning about fitness.
It's vertical integration.
Exactly.
Multiple facets of help that can be done.
And since fitness came to me so naturally and stuff like that, I said, all right, well, I know I'm going to be training people or, you know, in that realm to where I could do that. But let me keep studying, keep, you know, healing myself. And then one day, I don't know, maybe I could put it together. But at this time, this was in 2010, 2011, where the world wasn't talking quantum talk yet.
Yeah,
You know,
this is
it
real.
wasn't really out there.
Yeah, it's before its time.
And I only had library access to information, you know, and at the
2011, like I don't even think YouTube was popping off.
No,
that
2010, you know, so I was going to my community college library and I was pulling out different books. And then whatever I didn't understand, I try to like look up a video. And then from there, when I was gaining confidence of like, I feel smart.
Yeah.
I feel confident. I'm talking better. I'm doing all this.
Yeah.
Those are chemical reactions in the body that combat this reverse engineering that we're trying to do here. Because trauma, depression, anxiety, high alertness, all of that trauma is such a strong chemical reaction in the body that it overwrites anything that you try to do pill-wise or anything else. And when I thought about all that, I thought about the quantum world, how everything is charges.
Yeah.
You know, you got the traditional physics, physical world, where apple falls from the tree, all of that, and then you got the quantum physics world, where we look at reality in a subatomical level. And I thought of the human body, the human mind, in that same way, because at the end of the day, there's where it starts. That's the real show. That happens first before we even experience this. So I said, how could we create that in a natural way where I don't shove pills down my throat, depend on alcohol or anything like that? Because all we're looking for every single day, all we're all chasing is chemical reactions in the body, but the positive ones.
What was your practices that you developed or had to come up with?
So I didn't understand even to regurgitate it. So I had to get over the hump of like, all right, how do I regurgitate what I'm trying to talk about? And people were like, damn, man, like, you cool and all, but I think you got your bell rung good, man. You know what I mean? Like, this is back in where they were like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about?
Well, it depends on the person that you're talking to.
Yeah, you know, but a lot of, you know, where at least my environment where I was trying to get out, you know, they were like,
Wrong
man.
crowd.
Yeah, they were like, man, you know, we love you, dog, but,
Yeah.
you know, you got,
Yeah.
you know, you got a little walk to you.
Homie got a rock.
You got a little walk to you, you know what I mean? Like, but, so I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
What I need to do is I need to get data, get in front of people. You know, yeah, okay, I hear, you know, one of my buddies say, dude, you helped me out and all that. I need data. But
Sure.
now, not just from close friends or veterans, they'll be like, oh yeah, man, you helped me out. I need it from complete strangers. But in more different dimensions. And now we're talking about kids, regular community, regular average Joes, veterans. Now we're in the trauma world. First responders, same thing, but different kind of trauma.
Yep.
Different kind of leadership and the way they got to perform.
Yep.
And then anybody else, you know, left in the mix.
Gotcha.
Because we're dealing with human emotions here.
But so are you having a conversation with them? Is it more talk therapy? Is that's what you do?
The same thing, the critical thinking aspect first. So I would get random articles either about quantum magazine, gravitational pull, and then mix it up a little bit of technology, business, something interesting to where we could quantize and break it down.
Okay.
You know, and when
I want to do it. Let's do it together.
Okay.
For me.
Okay.
Personally.
So
We'll
how would you?
Absolutely not right now.
So do you understand how gravitational?
Yes. So keep going. Go ahead.
Yeah. So gravitational. For example, I would have gravitational pull. You know, explain how. You know, the famous science experiment that they do in a lot of schools. You know, the wet towel, put the bowling ball on there, put the marble. You know, that's space-time. That is what gets bent. You know, and the gravitational pull pulls the moon or other orbits around it.
Yep.
But since we are mass and we are making indentations in space-time and taking up space, well, there's a gravitational field towards us. But in the subatomical world, where emotions, thoughts, however you want to put it, law of attraction, there's different ways to explain this, is gravitating towards you. So once they learn gravitational pull, okay, explain to me how gravitational pull works in your world, but from your habits and everything that you're trying to accomplish in life.
So we're basically talking about almost in a sense manifestation and trying to bring or gravitate.
So the two
Positive
chemical
energies.
reactions that are happening there are big, powerful, because obviously the way it impacted my life. But it's the eureka chemical reaction in the body, which is, I didn't know that. I learned something new. You feel good. You feel smarter. Creative, new neurological pathways are opening up. And then you connect that and smash that with the chemical reaction of fitness, of getting there. Now we're basically like a toy, tuning them up pretty good, so when they walk out of the door, whatever happens behind closed doors that is out of our reach as coaches, as influencers, as whatever, combats that negative chemical reaction in the body, whatever is going on in the world. So we're dealing with children, whether that's absent parents, a troubled house, veterans, whether you're alcoholism, doing drugs or whatever, there is other chemical reactions that we're dealing with. But we try to combat them with medicine. We try to combat them with this. You just had a guest talking about the clearing of mushrooms, right? What happens with mushrooms? You think about stuff, you expand, your higher conscious and all that. NASA did a study and they said, okay, what actually happens to the brain when you study about space? And the prefrontal lobe gets impacted so much that it's natural endorphins, not spiked by a great moment in your life or a win that fizzles out but has a negative effect to it because there's a low that comes in. It's a natural way of just completely going it without depleting anything else. Because it's what we are.
That's what happens with women who have babies.
And when you're connecting yourself and you looking at the physics around you work the way it works, you are taking yourself out, and whatever conscience or perspective that you look at yourself as, because now it's not about you, it's about the material, it's about that, and you understand that you're connected to that. So now you develop other creative ways to handle life's experiences. Because every single day is different. Everything is about receiving information from the experiences that we experience, how we process it, what our perspective develops it, and then it comes out again.
So we're combining the physical, the emotional, the spiritual in a sense too as well, and mental, I would say the mental capacity to withstand, I guess, stressful situations, right? To gain adaptation. So it's basically training at that point, but you're training in so many different vast areas. That's why vertical integration would be ideal for this situation. So with that, take me through like just, you don't have to go super detailed, but take me through like a general training session that you would do.
So I'll right away, interact with them, how you doing, all that. And I always recommend a book for every athlete that I work with, every person I work with. Grab a book. It could be your interest, everything like that, but it's almost like a small little book club at the end of the session. So at the end of the session, we go through the session, and a lot of my training is the way I envisioned it in the quantum mechanics. So I do very basic calisthenics workout, but stations. 1 minute stations, 15-second rest. What I'm doing there is multi-dimensional work, because if I say, hey, work on your breathing, catch your breath and all that, what do we naturally do as humans? We kind of like phase out and then, all right, back into it. But when I give you a 15-second rest, you got no choice but to work on that breathing. And what is the biggest fear of a lot of people when it comes to the gym? Looking vulnerable.
That's true.
Or not enough, or I'm weak, or here I go again. I'm not gonna never change my life. Well, a minute exercise, say for example, burpee or some regular hard exercise, what starts happening there? They start tearing themselves down, but emotions are flaring, and we're connecting to the frequencies of matter. Because they know the flow that I work with them with, I talk about their lives, they relate and they talk about the book, whatever's going on in the book, but again, analogy, example, definition to the training. What did you experience in the training? How does it relate to the book that you're reading? What have you learned in the book in that chapter? Most books that are popular that they pick up is self-development. Here and there I'll get a history book or like something that they're into, but it's that. And it's a form of way to communicate, but in a safe space, because I'm not directly asking you what's wrong with you.
Okay.
And it's a safe zone to where they naturally explain their life, what they're going through, but in a poetic way and a most natural communication because we're only talking about the material on the book, not your weaknesses.
So you're not pinpointing their weakness. You're not telling them what they're doing wrong. They're actually explaining to you through the book what they feel and what they're going through. Got it.
And of course, that makes us lifelong readers automatically because that's all it does is just start, take it. Yeah. And we could talk about.
Does it have to be, and it's probably irrelevant, but does it have to be like an audio book or
anything?
It has to be a physical book or an audio
anything.
book? Okay.
Anything.
Gotcha.
Anything that you're into that you're going to be able to explain to me.
Gotcha. Okay.
And be passionate.
Or podcast maybe even. Right?
Or be passionate about it behind it. So when you break down the law of attraction and all the other stuff and all that, it's basically the connections of the frequencies of matter.
Yeah.
And when we put emotion, thought, and physical like feeling in there, those are the two chemical reactions that make that supercharge. So in theory, I'm not saying this is fact or I'm right or whatever. In theory, we are actually connecting to those frequencies in a real supercharged way, but in the quantum world. Because our thoughts, our beliefs are like, I did it, I made it through that round, I did it, I could do it. That is where it starts. There's where the momentum starts. There's where the change starts.
Well, actions are followed through the beliefs.
So it's not, it's not that this person is more weak than the other one or you're weak-minded and all that. It's just they haven't developed their program in a way to understand information, filter it through the perspective, through the conscious, and put it out as the successful professional that they want to be.
Is that a system that you've developed over time, or is that something that just... Okay.
So 2010, I began my therapy. I got out in 2009. 2010, I picked up the books and was like using it. Yeah. But for the longest time, I didn't know how to regurgitate it or even put it into it,
And now do you have like a curriculum for this, or is this something that you...
It's just something that, I was like trying to put, but I needed to get in front of people.
Need test subjects.
So fast forward, during the process, 2010, 2015, 16, I get hired for the VA police.
Oh, wow.
I go on there, do good, get promotion, go to San Diego.
Nice.
I start doing that, but then inside I have this thing, where I don't understand what it is yet, but it's inside. And I knew that either I was gonna make a move and go chase whatever this was, or sit here and then be that guy to say like, I had this idea, it was just too much inside. So, I leave there and I was like, I gotta volunteer for programs and start coaching wherever I can get in front of people, And I had 1 year left of benefits in school for the GI Bill and all that to get paid. I said, all right, realistically, what am I gonna go to school for a year that's gonna like make me some money, become a profession kind of, and be worth the time of whatever I'm doing, But how could it be a profession that I'm in the community in front of people and actually putting this into play?
Yeah, it's a big decision.
So barbering, I was like, okay, barbering, I get 1 hour, 1 hour with them, in the seat.
Super smart, bro. And
that's another chemical reaction in the body that maybe it's not fitness because it's not a gym. I don't have it there. But who doesn't feel good after a haircut?
I'm gonna tell you, I got a barber seat back there. Right, so like that it goes together, right? Because it improves like your well-being, like your feeling of well-being.
Exactly. Yeah. And you add the eureka chemical reaction to it, like, oh, I didn't know that, and then that mentoring aspect. I said, okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start it here at the barbershop.
Wow.
I'm gonna start it here. I can have veterans come for their haircut and then talk to them. Do it here. The youth come over here. Basic, and when I thought about the program, I said, okay, I need to quantize skills that are real life skills that are missing in the real world and that are not being in school. But keep it simple enough that it's not, I got to keep it an hour and simple that they retain it. And what do they don't teach in schools? How to build a resume, a job, speaking skills, public speaking skills, this, that, confidence, mentoring, staying, consistent. So the kids that would come in, high school kids, I would help them, you know, build a resume, do interview while the haircut.
Yeah.
You know, teach them about astronomy. Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And growing up in Chicago, a lot of kids think Lake Michigan is the ocean.
I believe that.
And some kids,
I believe that.
yeah, man, and you know what? And it's the truth.
It's not even that funny, but yeah, I believe it.
And some kids will never even come to the understanding of what gravity really is in the most simplest forms.
Well, that's the problem. I believe that it takes, it's an old saying, but you can't let school get in the way of your education, you know? And really at the end of the day, I'm a parent. I have 3 kids, you know. You have kids?
Yes.
So, you know, it's like the biggest thing that we can do with our kids is teach them the things that we didn't know.
Yeah.
Right? Some people get caught up in the things, like for me, it's like, okay, I wanted to give my kids, my daughters and my son, the things that I never had, but that could be worse, right? But when I can teach them things that I know that I wasn't able to be taught at certain ages, and I had to learn on the go and to learn on my own, it gives them a heads up. It gives them that boost, that step up in competition in his life. And it puts him in the right position. It puts them in the right position to do great things. So with that, you know, I think that that was a crazy thought that you had, and super smart idea, because what do people lack? Communication.
Yeah.
Right? I talked about this a lot on the seminars. It's like, if you cannot communicate with the people that you're working with, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
You're never going to progress that person, right? They're never going to buy into the situation. They're never going to trust you. And you'll never get an idea of who they are and the person that you're actually working with. So that was very smart. That's why I was like, yo, I don't know if you thought of it like that, but that's immediately what I thought.
Yeah.
You know, but you were getting yourself in front of people in a way where you knew that you were going to positively direct them in the right ways while you give them a good haircut.
Exactly.
You know,
because I knew that, all right, we're not going to just make up new buildings or fill new buildings to be like a WeWork center. And like, all right, guys, business is business at the end of the day. The bills got to get paid.
Yeah.
So maybe that's not going to be a cash cow to where. And I said, all right, instead of building new or trying to put new, innovate what we already have. And when I first went to barber school, I never knew this until I went to barber school, the origins of the barber pole. Do you know why the barber pole is?
I heard it's something, yeah. It has something to do with that. Go ahead, though.
So back in the day, in those old Western days and whatever, the barbers, man, if you had a rash, they gave you the cream. If you had a bad tooth, they pulled it out.
Yeah.
The haircut,
That's right.
the bloodletting, which is the red, the blue, the medical. And that's how it was. And then there's where it smacked me right there. I was like, that's it. We have to create that multi-dimensional world to where we are hitting all those frequencies of matter, but in a haircut.
That's crazy.
Because those 2 chemical reactions in the body are clashing and they're powerful.
Yeah.
So how about and then I set up push-up stations and pull-up bars out in the back of the barbershop, just something small with the sandbags. And I would tell the kids, like, hey, instead of sitting around, whatever, why don't you go get some while you wait for a haircut?
That's dope.
And then, and then they would feel the empowerment of like, man, I'm feeling buff, and then a nice haircut. And then you pep them up with the eureka chemical reaction. Yeah. I didn't know that. I feel smart.
I wish I would have known this, bro. I would have got a haircut. Podcast. What are you doing?
and all of that, like, I seen the results. So I went there and I was like, okay, I need more data now.
Yeah.
Not just the barbershop. So I volunteered at the nearest public school there.
Yeah.
And I told the school, I was just like, hey, I have an idea. Why don't we just do an extra curriculum, like a class where I just critical think with these kids. But give me all the troubled, the kids that you guys can't handle, and they just can't get it right. And they put the school psychiatrist in there to see, what was going on. And simple as that, PT at the very end of the class, little 20 minutes on the pull-up bar, little push-up, go do a sprint, who can win. And then they're like jumping and like just alive.
Yeah.
But when I would do like entrepreneur skills with them, and I would say, hey kids, all right, cool. Say I'm a multi-billionaire and I got money. I want you to think of a video game that's going to be the next best thing. But I want you to give me the marketing plan. What systems are going to be available?
How old are these kids?
Sixth, 7th, and 8th grade.
Love it. Give it a full-on business plan, mission statement.
Yeah. Be like, all right, tell me, is it going to be available for PlayStation only, Xbox, why? And then what's the promise of this is going to be a cash cow? Like, definitely, come on, hop on it. Yeah. And of course, it was a topic or something like Fortnite that they were really into. But when they were able to public speak and put a presentation on, they never did that before because they were always labeled as dysfunctional, learning disability, and you're just shot.
Yeah. Yep.
And, you know, not every school is perfect, but if the system is not the way that they learn.
They never give them an opportunity.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that they're not smart or not intelligent. It's just they learn different.
They weren't able to apply the true talent that they actually had.
But if you hit those chemical reactions, which is the fitness, the eureka, and all that supercharges them to try and go and push it when I'm not there.
You know what reminds me of is when you came back and you were like, I had to run up the stairs and just started blasting like.
And it was that supercharge in the body.
Did you ever think that? Did you ever put those correlation together?
I thought about it, and the way I thought about it is like, okay, you know, matter makes this, particles clash to make this, and then the Hadron Collider, where scientists collide particles together to hopefully create a big smash to discover other elements, other particles, maybe to other dimensions, you know, like that. So I thought about it as making that clash. How could we make that clash in the body to overwrite maybe if they're experiencing child abuse or absent parents or bullying, you know, whatever. There's just a lot of negative charges out there. But if you think about, like, you know, the quantum or the particle world, how it works, I mean, you know, just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's happening or inside of us, you know? So why don't we start from the root of how it goes down? And then instead of pills or this or that, we have to discover it naturally, because eventually where this world is going, we need to raise, educate the next world changers. And what I mean by that is bigger than politics, I mean, clean energy, you know, flowing clean water, like we got to figure something out, you know what I mean? And our children of the future have to like change the world in some kind of way. And what I'm getting to put this all in a nutshell is that this is a new way of thinking. A new way of thinking. And if you look at the way quantum computers operate, it's all qubits. The future of the world is they're going to be encrypted in particles. And it takes the meat and potatoes, cuts the fat of all the information accessible in the universe, in the world, of every different topic, of every different simulation calculation, and it brings you the best estimation right there. So I said, why can't our brains work like that? Scientists think that it works like quantum mechanics, where it's charges and it's affecting everything.
It's all connected.
So how could we build that?
We're interconnected.
How could we build that without slicing our heads open, chip implantment, pills, or whatever? We need to be our own scientists, or we're pretty much walking Hadron Colliders.
Oh yeah, our bodies are capable of like taking out blocks.
And one of the sayings that I say to use the famous Einstein equation, E equals mc squared, which is energy to matter to govern by the speed of light, is the energy you produce in life is the matter you create. Plain and simple, right there. E equals mc squared.
Getting into these things here, right? This is first of all some of the dopest artwork here too. By the way, that's my man right there. So explain to me these two, I guess what we call it, comic books, right? Primarily. So explain them real quick.
So Quantum Man came about. Actually, so when all that was going on in the barbershop, I was doing that. I had my own youth program on the beach. I trained these kids on the beach. Same thing, class outside. Because here I am, I'm not charging any money. I'm doing all of this to help out the community, get data, and see if this product, what is this product? What is it?
Yeah.
You know, what's actually happening here? And the pandemic hits. 2020 hits. Everything shuts down. Before that barbershop, Cuts by Grunts, I had it in San Diego. Before it even comes off the ground, it's gone. And here I am, you know, early on in the pandemic, I thought barbering was the last thing that was going to come back. And at the time, I was working at the school, not working at the school, I was volunteering at the school. I had the youth program out of the barbershop, plus, you know, the kids that I was, or, you know, the regular clients that I had at the barbershop doing that. I was assistant coach volunteer for the Special Olympics, one of the chapters in Imperial Beach, San Diego. So, and I was doing it with those kids. And it was the most beautiful thing. And I think that is one of the biggest currencies and one of the biggest values I'll ever hold in life, was working with those kids and what I seen there. You know, it's not something material, it's not something, but seeing how these kids lit up when they would feel like they understood something hard or like that, and then plus physical fitness after that. They would give me hugs and squeeze so tight because I felt, without them saying anything, like, I love you, I love you, I love you. And it was that, like, you know,
I know it.
And that's what I was trying to do with everyone I encountered, to
awesome.
like, to get rid of that, you know, to feel what I felt, to, you know, give that gift. So when the pandemic happened, no more outdoor, you know, sports, nothing, you know. So I get with the other coaches and I'm like, all right, let's hop online. I'll do a class on there. I think that now, I was like, now it's crunching down to where I can deliver it better, actually, because we're on the web. And then I'll do jumping jacks, push-ups and all that. But in 2020, like when I was living over there in San Diego, in IB, and to be exact, I had no air conditioner in my house. So when I'm doing these push-ups and these classes, I'm like dripping like sweat, man, like puddles of sweat, like, hey kids, hang in there, you know, just, and they're looking at me like, you know, poor coach, you know, like, dying. And I told myself, I'm like, damn, I feel like this like superhero battling this evil goo that's like taking over the world, and we don't know what it is. And then, pow, a big bang moment happened right there, and the idea of Quantum Man came alive. Because I knew that one day I'll tell my story, but I didn't know how. I don't know, you know, like when I got out, podcasts were there, they kind of were, they weren't there. And then, yeah, of course, as the years went by and podcasts got a, you know, but how am I going to even get on one of them if I don't even know any of those, or I'm not even close to that world, you know, around them to get invited or to talk, you know.
You own it now, baby. You own it now.
Yeah, on and out. But I knew that I wanted to do it in a creative way to where it wasn't like, look at my life, I went through a lot of things, I'm messed up, and I'm still trying to make it. Like, no, it's like that, what happened. It was, you know, unfortunate situation, but it was destined for something bigger, a purpose, you know. And one of my favorite scriptures is Romans 8:28, is for he uses all things for good and for those that love him. And now I get to create a comic book series where I tell the tale, but in a fun, creative way, where I could give back to the world and say, when I got out with traumatic brain injury, no education, PTSD, an alcoholic, other addictions and all that, me even uttering the words of me in the quantum physics world or astronomy was not even a chance, a snowball's chance in hell. How? You got a brain injury. You didn't even finish high school. You're not even in college. And when I was trying to connect everything, everyone was like, "Oh, you trying to be like a personal trainer, therapist, or something?" Like we don't really get what you're.
First of its kind, man. You know, people, they get weirded out by people that are actually trying to do something different. But at the end of the day, whatever's in your heart, and you know that's going to be something that's beneficial for an individual or individuals that need it. Just go after it, because then people are going to be like, "Man, he was onto something."
And
when it starts to go. and jump on board.
And in 2020, I started writing down. I started, writing the series. I hopped on. I met the Southern Marine, David Johnson, cool dude, which happens to be the illustrator of the comic. And right away, Devil Dog to Devil Dog connected, and I was like, hey, I got this idea, blah, blah, blah. And I just started going in 2020 and just started writing it, and putting it out there. And I was like, all right, this is going to be my story, but it's going to be it's going to be delivered in a different way, in a motivating way, and we started writing it from 2020. But as 2020 was going, for me, and we all had a different experience in 2020, like in the pandemic and the lockdown, a lot of mental health was on the rise. And now that is the secret pandemic that's going on, is mental health.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are pretty bad. And then when I froze and I had to be in that year, all I felt right away that was, and this is my belief, God's calling to the world saying, I slowed everything down, come to me. This is your time to come to me. But my process was different, because starting from the early years of everything that I went through, I never dealt with that trauma head on. And I'm not talking about just the Marines. I'm talking about, from my friend getting killed, all of that, none of it was ever processed. Why? 17 to 21, all I did was drink myself to sleep. Everything was masked in alcohol. I never really dealt with it. I never really, and then when 2020 happened, and then the rug got pulled under me, the whole momentum that I was doing, the data that I was going, gone in an instant, including the barbershop. But it was a blessing in disguise, because it forced me to deliver it on the web and package it tighter. Because now I'm like, okay, I could deliver, whatever pep talk, critical thinking, and then do the workout. It formed better. And then from there, that practice.
That's your system now.
Yeah.
You developed a system.
So practicing that right there gave me okay, more flow, more momentum.
Sure.
But at the same time, while I'm having this dream and this giant theory of whatever you want to call this, I had to slay my own demons at the same time. Because now I'm at the house, alcohol is very accessible and cheaper too. And I'm going, through all of that. And I felt like it just felt like everything compiled on top of me at once. Like God was like, you're gonna deal with this right now. We're gonna push this out of you right now, boy. No more games. I got you right here. You gonna deal with it the way it comes. And I was suffering left and right. My wife was affected by it, because all of a sudden I was having alcoholism all over again. Nightmares, depression, addictions, bad addictions.
This was in 2020? This is in the pandemic?
Out of nowhere. Here I am, freaking Mr.
This is probably how many months after did I meet you at the seminar?
I met you at 2022.
It's 2022?
Yeah, 2 years later.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But a whole lot happened,
within that time frame.
Yeah, a whole lot happened. I was going through a lot of stuff, and I was losing it, because my son was there, in front of me, and I'm like, what happened? Like, what just happened? Like, I'm over here PTing 2 times a day, Mr. Get some, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, I got all the problems now. I'm the patient. Like, I'm the fucked up one. Like, whoa. Like, and then the dream of the theory of quantum this just started fizzling out.
Really?
And then it became a mirror effect to where, are you fucked up, really? Have you been the negative, fucked up one this whole time? Have you been illusioning this whole time? It was like a dance with all of your demons, your traumas, all of that. Everything that they talk about when they take, the Toad, and Mike Tyson talked about, taking this. You go through all of the ugly stuff that just deteriorates you, makes you feel nasty. You want to get out of there. And then it goes into, euphoria and letting go and understanding the trauma and all that. But I didn't have the drug to do it. I had to do it raw, right there and then.
Took a longer time.
it took a longer time. I'm not saying that I had the perfect, righteous, path all the way there, and I pray as much as I do now. But there's where I felt like God was like, all right, you need to get serious with me, where you have to change your life. And I'm not saying that you're doing bad things, but you have to pray harder to me, change things around, maybe go to bed at 8 or 9, not go out, not drink alcohol, or watch your surroundings. And you got to give me some real time. If you want what's on the other side of what you're praying for, you go and earn it right here. Because I can't, for much is given, much is required. And when I was going through that, as a veteran, as a warrior and all that, what do we cling on to? Like legends, like the Vikings, Valhalla, and I felt that. I felt that I was dying inside. And I felt that like, I wanted to give up, and like I was like, dude, I can't no more, man. I just spent 10 years of my life trying to get to this invisible theory, and now I'm like messed up again. Nah, man, like, I wasn't thinking about committing suicide or anything like that, but I was like, geez, yeah, like, come on, and I can't deal with it. So, St. Michael is the protector, and I was like, man, and then right away I was like, man, let me really get into St. Michael, like as the angel, why he's the top angel, why, And of course, learning by him, I've read several books, and I'm just really, and looked at him as like a battalion commander, like, all right,
He was.
Yeah, battalion commander.
For the biggest army.
Because I needed to go back,
universe.
Just like the therapy of going back to the study of astronomy, I needed to go back to the root that what made me a hard-ass Marine. 3-5, 3rd Battalion, BC, badass motherfucker, company commander, badass motherfucker, this, that. I needed to get to the root of that. I needed to touch that again. But I can't go back to the military. I can't reminisce and be like, oh, I'm a freaking war dog. And no. It had to come somewhere else, but it had to come in the spiritual realm. And when I started learning that, and I learned, what St. Michael and his love for God, and he was literally willing to go out, in love for him, I said, God, I love you that much that I'm willing to die in this misery, and I know where I'm going. I don't know when it's gonna happen. It's smashing me, but I'm gonna love you to death, and I'll never blame you for anything that I'm going through, because I'll go through this suffering in complete honor of you. Maybe I'll never get it right. Maybe my life will be fucked up always, always. But you know what? Your grace and protection is sufficient. And after that, and I started going through, things, and I felt like all this mental challenges and, demons and all that I had to, go through. I was going through all that. And then my wife and I, went through a ugly split to where I go to Chicago. My family's like, you got to come home because you're bad, man. Like, you're going through a lot and you just need to be around us again and rebuild.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I do is I go back, and I said, I'm not going to go back to old places, old hangouts, old people. The only one that's going to tell me to make a decision, what decision to make, is God. And I never finished my Catholicism, course. So I said, what better time to finish it now and to attend and go to church and do all that? Because I said, I need a spiritual cleaning, but a good one. I can't get my hands on a toad or do all that. So I got to go, the raw dog way, where it's submission to God, saying, I am no longer strong enough. You have to pick me up. And that's what God does. That's his love is so strong that right there in that moment when you think it's it, he picks you right back up.
Absolutely.
And going through those mental illness, and you'll hear it a lot, mental illness and depression, all that feels like you're lost in the mental struggle jungle. And a good friend of mine, he came to visit me in Chicago while I was going through that process, that healing. Great friend of mine. He's the one that lives out here in Florida. Brought me out here. Great friend, man. One of my best friends. He, brought up the Special Forces MACV SOG in Vietnam. Look those guys up. They're like the secret down special forces, like deep in there, and their stories are incredible, in the jungle and all the stuff that they did. And we used to always go back and forth. And with my other Marine buddies, we would be like, damn, dog, we can't give up, man. Like, think about SOG, think about like freaking SEALs in Vietnam and all those stuff. Like, you know, that was real hell. That was the physical realm. But depression and mental illness felt that I was in the jungle, but this time with no team. And it was only my demons, the things that I needed to kill head on.
Yeah.
It was either that or I was never gonna get to where I needed to get to. And from there, I said, I felt like, man, I feel like I'm SF for God or something, you know what I mean? Like going through all this, trying to do something big in the world, help people. Because, you know, whether you wanna believe it or not, when you're trying to do something good, there's a lot of resistance.
No, absolutely. So,
and there's where I had another big bang moment where
I was gonna say.
St. Michael's Special Operations Group
I love that though.
came alive.
You know I love that. So these are for, is this for children or is this for anybody?
This Quantum Man is gonna be kid-based, you know, I'm gonna try to keep it clean. And then St. Michael's gonna be a spawn adult.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm putting what we're
Can
gonna
I keep
do.
these?
Yeah, that's yours, man.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Those are your copies, man.
Perfect, man.
And St. Michael's Special Operations Group, and with that one and in that comic, I'm gonna put the biggest trials of my life when I was going through that. Because this clean, whatever you want to call this, was a span from starting in 2018 to 2019, and then the pandemic was the icing on the cake. So all those years, those big challenges that I went through, they're gonna be stories in there. But in that comic, St. Michael is recruiting SF guys, but from all over the world.
That's dope.
And arming up, you know, the team of God for a big battle that's coming. So it's a fun way, but I like to put, and the reason why I've got into the comic industry and doing this, because sometimes this right here, and this is the reason why I got the cover tattooed on my throat. Because especially walking around in Chicago and other places, this is the only church some people will ever see. And that's asking me, hey, what is that? That looks cool, you know? And that's how we are, like, oh wow, what is that? So without me shoving down my beliefs, religion down someone's throat, you just hear, and if it resonates with you, it resonates with you.
Of course, yeah. That's how it should be.
And I feel like right now, especially in this time in the world right now, is we need to be doing that left and right. And there needs to be lights lit up in every single way. Because I know what that dark tunnel feels like and looks like. My comics are gonna be a little light that I'll leave on for whoever walking through.
Well, you're definitely on the start of something special. I'll tell you that. I'm glad you were. And one, it's an honor to talk to you. And thank you for sharing your story.
No,
I know this is the first one, but you're gonna do plenty. Trust me. We're gonna get you on all these podcasts. Where can they find you? Instagram, your website's about to launch too as well.
So look out for the website, Cano Science. It's about to launch. I want to be doing a coaching online program to help people out and just use my gift that I packaged, you know, for what I'm doing it, and you know, whoever it resonates with, let me help out. You know,
now as of right now, where can they find you? Email,
Instagram, Quantum Man Actual.
Got it. Perfect, man. Check this man out, and you'll be seeing him plenty more. Maybe we'll bring him back on for another episode. But thank you again, my brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Shake your hand one time.
It's been an honor.
See you again next time.